This story doesn't begin on the day the blood appeared. It begins much earlier than that. It begins in a place where almost no one ever went, and where those who did rarely stayed. The dirt road had no sign. No hurry. No destination for anyone who didn't already know where they were going. At the end of that road, there was a farm. Miguel lived there alone. Not completely alone, because no one truly is, but alone enough that he didn't have to explain his life to anyone. He woke up early, always early. Not because he liked it, but because his body no longer knew how to sleep in. Even on days when there was nothing urgent to do, he woke up the same way, as if rest was no longer allowed. Miguel would open his eyes and stay lying there. He didn't get up right away. He stared at the ceiling. There was an old stain near one corner. He had thought about painting it many times. He never did. The stain didn't grow. It didn't fade. It was just there. Like many things in his life, he slept on the left side of the bed. Always. The right side remained untouched. It wasn't tribute. It wasn't promise. It was habit. And habit, over time, becomes rule. The house knew his rhythm. He walked through it without turning on the lights. He knew exactly where the floor creaked, not because someone else was sleeping, but because silence itself felt like it deserved respect. The kitchen came next. Water on the stove. Waiting. Sometimes he just stood there, staring out the dark window. That hour of the morning was his favorite. Not because it was peaceful, but because nothing was expected of him yet. The dog always appeared then. Thunder. He never barked in the morning. He just sat near the door. Miguel didn't call him. The dog didn't ask for anything. They shared space. And that was enough. People from the outside would say Miguel was fine. The farm worked. Bills were paid. Animals were cared for. But living alone for too long does something to a person. You start to shrink. Miguel spoke less and less. And when he did, his own voice sounded strange. He could go days without forming a full sentence. And that started to feel normal. To normal. His wife had died years earlier. Miguel rarely thought of the accident directly. Memories came on their own, through smells, through certain hours of the day, through nothing at all. He never told the full story, not even to himself. Some things, once spoken out loud, change shape forever. The idea of hiring someone didn't come from loneliness. It came from exhaustion. Burned food, forgotten pots, a near fire in the kitchen. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was neglect of himself. At the small town store, he mentioned he needed help. Didn't explain much. A few days later, someone said a woman was looking for work. Lucia arrived on a hot afternoon. Dust on her shoes. A suitcase too small for someone who planned to stay long. Miguel noticed, didn't comment. She spoke softly, avoided eye contact. He showed her the kitchen, then the room at the back. If you need anything. He stopped mid-sentence. Just call me. She nodded. Thank you. That was all. The food she cooked was simple, but careful, not seasoning. Care. Miguel didn't compliment, but he ate everything. Lucia always wore long sleeves, even in the heat. Miguel noticed, didn't ask. Asking meant listening. and he wasn't sure he wanted answers yet. Small things began to feel wrong. A door unlocked. A window opened. Light footprints near the sink. Nothing concrete. But anyone who lives alone for long enough learns this. Change is loud. One night, Miguel woke up thirsty. The house was silent. He turned on the kitchen light and stopped. On the floor, near the cabinet, there were dark stains. At first, he thought it was dirt. Then wine. Then rust. But when he bent down, he didn't need to touch it. It was blood. Not much. Drops. Controlled. Miguel stood there for a long time. Didn't call Lucia. Didn't clean it right away. Because one thing was clear. That hadn't happened by accident. He cleaned it alone. Slept badly. At breakfast, Lucia appeared as usual. Long sleeves. Calm face. Miguel noticed a bruise slip from under her sleeve. She pulled it back instantly. Automatic. Miguel said nothing. But he knew. The blood was just the beginning. Miguel drank his coffee slowly. Without a radio. Without television. Silence was part of the meal. Sometimes he thought about turning something on. But he gave up before even getting up from the chair. Too much sound was tiring. Anyone looking from the outside would say Miguel was fine. The farm worked. The animals were well taken care of. The bills were paid. Miguel was not a careless man. He was just a tired man. Tired of thinking. Tired of remembering. Tired even of trying to forget. His wife had died years earlier. Miguel rarely thought about the accident directly. Not because he forgot, but because he remembered too much. The memories came on their own, sometimes through the smell of food, sometimes at a specific hour of the day, sometimes for no reason at all. He never told the whole story to anyone, not even to himself. Some things, when we say them out loud, they start to exist in a different way. Miguel left the house that morning like any other. He walked round the farm, checked the animals. Spoke little, spoke almost nothing. The day passed, and passed again, and passed again. Until, without realizing it, Miguel started making small mistakes. Burning food, forgetting a pot on the stove, leaving doors unlocked. At first, he ignored it. Then, he started to feel bothered. Not by the mistakes, but by what they meant. It was on one of those ordinary days, with nothing special about it, that he thought, I need help. He thought only that. Nothing dramatic. Nothing deep. But that thought stayed, and when a thought stays, it eventually wins. Miguel did not take the decision to hire someone all at once. It came in pieces. It came with the burned beans. It came with the forgotten pot. It came with the tiredness that did not go away even after sleeping. It came, above all, with that strange feeling that the house was starting to feel too big even for the silence. He thought about it for days. He thought while walking through the corral, while fixing the fence, while eating badly. And he always reached the same conclusion. It's just for a while. Miguel liked that sentence. Just for a while always sounds harmless. One random morning, he decided to go to the store. He did not get dressed any differently. He did not take a list. He grabbed his hat, called the dog, and left. The dirt road seemed longer that day, not because it was, but because he was going to do something he had avoided for years. Talk to people. The store sat in the middle of nowhere, a simple building, always with the door open. When Miguel walked in, the bell made a sound. Everyone looked, not because Miguel was important, but because he almost never showed up. "Good morning, someone said. Miguel answered with a short nod. He walked up to the counter, asked for the usual things. Stood there, waiting. And then, without planning to, he said, "I need someone to help out at the farm." The sentence came out dry, without explanation. The man behind the counter raised an eyebrow. "Help how?" Miguel thought for a few seconds. "Cooking. Taking care of the house. Double quotes silence. Someone farther back said, "I know a woman looking for work." Miguel did not ask for a name, did not ask for a story. He just nodded. And in that moment, without realizing it, he had already agreed. 2 days later, they said she would arrive in the afternoon. Miguel spent the whole day restless, not nervous. Restless. He walked through the house without really knowing what to do. He opened a room he had not opened in years, closed it again. He set the table, then unset it. He stopped in the kitchen several times, as if he wanted to make sure it was still there. When the car appeared on the road, Miguel saw it from the porch. A simple car. Old. It stopped near the fence. From inside it stepped out a woman, thin, shoulders slightly hunched, a small suitcase in her hand. Too small. Miguel noticed that immediately. He did not say anything. She walked closer, slowly. "Are you Miguel?" she asked. Her voice was low, careful. "I am. They told me you needed help." Miguel nodded. There was no handshake. No long conversation. He just turned and said, "You can come in." Lucia came into the house like someone entering a place where she did not want to draw attention. She looked around quickly. Nothing too long. Miguel showed her the kitchen, then the room in the back. "If you need anything," he started to say. He stopped in the middle of the sentence. He realized it had been a long time since he had said that to anyone. "Call me." She nodded. Double quotes thank you. Just that. In the first days, they barely talked. Lucia woke up earlier than Miguel, when he entered the kitchen. The coffee was already ready. That bothered him a little. Not because it was bad, but because it broke his routine. The food was simple. Rice, beans, meat, but there was something different. Miguel could not explain what. It was not seasoning. It was care. Miguel did not compliment it, but he ate everything. Lucia almost always wore long sleeves, even when it was hot. Miguel noticed. Thought it was strange, but he did not ask. It was not his way. Besides, asking meant hearing an answer. And he still had not decided if he wanted to hear answers. The days went by. Lucia's presence began to change the rhythm of the house. A little, very little, but enough for Miguel to notice. The kitchen was no longer so silent. There was the sound of pans, of running water. And that affected him more than he wanted to admit. One morning, Miguel noticed something small. The back door was unlocked. He was sure he had locked it the night before. He thought maybe he had forgotten. He thought he was getting old. He locked it. He did not comment. The next day, the pantry window was open. Miguel closed it. The following day, he found marks of mud near the sink. Light footprints. Miguel stood there, looking at that for longer than he should have. Then he cleaned it. And went on with his day. Miguel started sleeping poorly. He woke up in the middle of the night for no clear reason. Sometimes he thought he had heard something. Sometimes he had not. The house felt different, not threatening, but occupied. One of those nights, Miguel woke up thirsty. He got up slowly, walked down the hallway, entered the kitchen without turning on the light. That was when he sensed something different. A metallic smell in the air. Weak. Almost imperceptible. He turned on the light. And saw it on the floor, near the cabinet. Small stains. Dark. Miguel stood still for a long time. He did not call Lucia. He did not touch anything. His heart beat slowly, because at that moment he understood one thing. That was not a common accident. Miguel did not bend down right away. He stayed standing, looking at the kitchen floor as if he expected it to change shape, or explain by itself what it was doing there. The stains were not big. They did not form a shape, and maybe that was why they were even worse, because they looked controlled. As if someone had made an effort not to make a mess. The first thing Miguel thought was accident. A knife, a broken glass, something simple. He liked that thought. He liked it because it ended the subject before it even began. But the thought did not hold for long. The blood was not spread out. It was dripping. And anyone who works in a kitchen knows accidents spread. Carelessness spreads. That had too much care. Miguel took a deep breath, looked around. Everything seemed in place. No pans off the stove. No broken objects. The kitchen was clean enough, except for the floor. He asked himself if he should call Lucia. He thought about it for a few seconds. Then he gave up, not because he did not want an answer, but because he was afraid of what the answer might force him to do. He grabbed the rag, got it wet, kneeled down slowly. The floor was cold. Miguel wiped once. Then again. The blood came off too easily. That bothered him too. When something serious happens, we expect resistance. But there, everything seemed to want to disappear quickly, as if it had been made not to be seen. When he finished, Miguel stayed kneeling for a little while longer. He did not pray. He did not think about anything specific. He just stayed there. The silence of the house took over the space again. But now, it was a different silence. Miguel went back to the bedroom, lay down, tried to sleep. He could not. He closed his eyes, and the image of the floor came back, not because of the blood itself, but because of the question he was avoiding putting into words. When morning came, he got up more tired than when he had gone to bed. He made coffee, sat at the table, waited. A little later, Lucia appeared. As always, long sleeves, calm face. Miguel looked at her hands, short nails, Thin fingers. No visible cuts. No blood. That should have reassured him, but it did not. Miguel thought about commenting. He thought about saying something simple. Did you get hurt yesterday? The sentence seemed easy until he imagined the answer. So he stayed quiet. As always. Breakfast was silent. Not a comfortable silence, a heavy silence, the kind of silence where every movement feels too loud. When Lucia stretched her arm to grab the cup, the sleeve went up a little. It was fast, almost nothing, but Miguel saw it. A bruise, not very big, but old enough not to be. From a few hours earlier, Lucia noticed his look and pulled the sleeve back immediately. The gesture was automatic. Too fast to be conscious. Miguel felt something tighten in his chest. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was recognition. He had seen that gesture before. In people who did not want to explain. In people who had already learned that explaining usually makes things worse. He opened his mouth to ask. Closed it. Took a sip of coffee. The taste felt different that day. More bitter. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. After breakfast, Miguel went out to work. He tried to focus. He could not. The image of the bruise kept coming back, not because of the color, but because of the way Lucia hid it. He began to notice her more. Not in an invasive way. In an attentive way. He noticed that she avoided staying too long in open places, that she always kept the kitchen door closed, that sometimes she stopped what she was doing, as if she were listening to something no one else could hear. In the middle of the afternoon, Miguel went back to the house to drink water. He found Lucia washing clothes at the sink. She scrubbed with too much force, as if she were trying to erase something beyond the dirt. The water turned slightly pink. Miguel stopped. Lucia noticed and changed the water quickly. It got dirty easily today, she said. Miguel nodded. But did not answer. He started to understand that something was wrong. Not something scandalous. Something human. Something hidden. And that was the hardest part. Because hidden things do not ask for help. They ask for silence. Asterisk, asterisk. After that night, Miguel began to sleep in a different way. It was not insomnia. It was alertness. He slept, but any noise brought him back immediately. The creaking of the wood, the stronger wind, the dog moving. Everything seemed to ask for attention. Miguel started getting up more times during the night. Not to do anything specific, just to check if the house was still in place. He walked down the hallway slowly, stopped near the kitchen, looked out at the yard through the window. He never found anything, but he never felt calm either. During the day, the routine tried to stay the same. Miguel worked, Lucia cooked, but there was something different between them. Not conversation, not open tension. It was a kind of exaggerated care, as if both of them knew there was something there, but neither had decided to say it out loud. Miguel began to notice the schedules. Lucia woke up early, but sometimes she woke up earlier than usual. Miguel noticed because the coffee was ready too early. She also went to bed early, but not always to her room. Sometimes Miguel woke up and saw a weak light in the kitchen. When he got closer, the light went out. He began to watch without admitting to himself that he was watching. It was just attention, just care. Nothing more than that. One late afternoon, Miguel went to the fence to talk to a neighbor. A short conversation. Nothing important. But before leaving, the neighbor commented, "There have been strange people passing on the road these days." Miguel asked, "Strange how?" The neighbor shrugged. "Cars that aren't from around here. Too slow." Miguel nodded. He did not comment further. But that sentence stayed. On the way back home, Miguel walked more slowly. The wind lifted dust along the path. He looked at the ground. And saw it. Footprints. Small. Lighter than his. They were not recent. But they were not old either. Miguel stood there looking at them for longer than he wanted to admit. Then he kept going. At night, the dog growled again. Always in the same place. Near the kitchen door. Miguel began to find that strange. Thunder was not a nervous dog. He rarely growled. Only when he sensed something wrong. Miguel opened the door. There was no one, but the dog did not come in. He stayed there, tense. Miguel closed the door, sat at the kitchen table, stayed there. Not knowing exactly what he was waiting for. Maybe a noise, maybe a clear sign. Nothing came. Only silence. In the following days, Miguel began to notice even smaller things. Lucia never left anything out of place. Never. But sometimes a cup changed position. A chair was not exactly where it had been before. Nothing big. Nothing that could be pointed out. But enough to bother him. Miguel thought about asking. Thought about calling Lucia and saying, "Is there something you want to tell me?" But the sentence felt too big. Big questions demand big answers. And Miguel still did not know if he was ready for that. One afternoon, Lucia heard herself in the kitchen. Nothing serious. A small cut on her finger. Miguel saw it. She cleaned it quickly, hid it, said, "It was nothing." Miguel looked. It was different. That cut was recent, superficial. It had nothing to do with the bruise. And that confirmed something he already suspected. The injuries did not come from work. At night, Miguel felt the metallic smell again. Not strong. Weak. Like a persistent memory. He stood still in the kitchen, breathing deeply. The smell came from below. From the floor. Near the cabinet. Miguel bent down, ran his hand over it. Nothing. But he felt something different. A board slightly loose, almost imperceptible. He touched it again, confirmed it. The board was not firm like the others. Miguel stood up quickly, not because he was sure of something, but because, at that moment, he did not want to be sure. He turned off the kitchen light, went to the bedroom, lay down. His heart was beating faster now. In the dark, Miguel realized something simple. He had stopped pretending. He still had not done anything. He still had not asked anything. But he was no longer pretending that everything was normal. And that changed everything. After noticing the loose board, Miguel tried to act as if nothing had changed. He tried, but his body did not follow. He spent the day restless. He made small mistakes. He dropped tools. He forgot the gate open. Things he never forgot. Miguel began to come home earlier, not because he wanted to rest, but because he wanted to observe. He sat on the porch at the end of the afternoon, pretending to look at the horizon, but in truth paying attention to the house, to Lucia, to the schedules, to the movements. Lucia kept working as usual. She did not seem nervous, but she was too careful. She spoke less, she walked more lightly, and sometimes Miguel had the impression that she looked at the kitchen floor as someone who checks whether something is still in place. That night, Miguel decided not to sleep. Not officially. He lay down, turned off the light, stayed quiet, but he did not close his eyes. He stayed listening. The silence of the house was no longer neutral. It was full of small things. The wind, the creak of the wood, the dog moving. And, at some point, a different sound. Very low. Almost nothing. As if something were being dragged. Carefully, Miguel got up slowly, stepped where he knew the floor would not creak, went to the hallway. The kitchen was dark, but there was a weak light coming from below. Miguel felt his heart race. He did not run. He did not call anyone. He simply moved closer. He stopped before reaching the door. He stayed there. Waiting. The sound came again. A whisper. It was not possible to understand words. But it was not the wind. Miguel felt a chill run up his arms. He opened the kitchen door slowly, just enough to see. Lucia was kneeling on the floor. She did not get scared when Miguel appeared. That was what bothered him the most. It was as if she already knew that this was going to happen. She raised her face. Her eyes were red, not from recent crying, from old tiredness. "I can explain," she said. Her voice did not shake. But her hands did. Miguel did not answer. He looked at the floor. The board was open, and there was something there underneath. A dark space. Small. Improvised. Miguel felt his stomach turn. Before he could ask anything, a sound came. Low. Very low. A sound that should not have been there. A sound that did not belong in that house. It was breathing. Contained breathing. From someone too small to be an adult. Miguel froze. Time seemed to stop. Lucia spoke again. "Please, don't shout." Miguel took a deep breath, kneeled down, moved the board a little more, and saw, from the dark, from the floor of his own house, two big eyes were looking at him. Scared. Attentive. A child's eyes. Miguel felt something break inside him. It was not shock. It was recognition. He had seen that look before. The look of someone who is waiting to be sent away. The girl did not cry. She just stayed there. Looking. Waiting. Miguel could not speak for a few seconds. When he spoke, it was low. "How long?" Lucia answered. "Since before I came here." Miguel closed his eyes, opened them again. He did not ask why. He asked what mattered. "Is she hurt?" Lucia nodded. Double quotes on the foot. "It was yesterday. It bled." Miguel understood everything. The blood on the kitchen floor. The hidden rag. The care. He rubbed his face with his hand, took a deep breath, looked at the child. Then at Lucia, and said something he did not expect to hear from himself. "She is not leaving here." Lucia collapsed. Not into loud crying, into relief, the kind of relief that hurts. Miguel sat down on the kitchen floor, leaned his back against the cabinet. The dog appeared at the door, He did not growl. He sat. As if he understood. The child came out of the hole slowly, stepping carefully. Miguel noticed the bandaged foot. Improvised. Done in a hurry. He looked at that and felt the old guilt move inside him. The girl raised her face and asked, almost in a whisper, "Are you going to send me back?" Miguel did not think. No. She kept looking. As if she were testing the word. Miguel understood there, in that kitchen, that the blood on the floor was not the worst thing. The worst thing was what would have happened if he had pretended not to see. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. After that night, the house was never the same again. Not because something had been broken, but because something had been revealed. Miguel did not sleep. Not that night. He stayed sitting at the kitchen table, his head lowered, listening to the sounds of the house as if he were hearing them for the first time. The child's breathing, Lucia's light footsteps, the dog lying near the door. Everything existed. But before, it had no name. Now it did. The girl's name was Nina. She said the name without ceremony, without drama, like someone who had already learned that a name does not guarantee permanence. Miguel repeated, "Nina." He said it softly. As if he were testing whether the name would stay there. Lucia improvised a bed for her in the back room. Nothing elaborate. A mattress on the floor. A folded blanket. Nina preferred to sleep near the wall. Miguel noticed that. A child who sleeps in the corner learned early to take up little space. Before going to the bedroom, Miguel asked, "Is she in pain?" Lucia nodded. "But she says she isn't." Miguel did not answer. He just brought water. Simple medicine. Cleaned the wound carefully. Nina did not cry. She only watched. Too attentive. When everything went quiet, Miguel went back to the kitchen, sat down, stayed there looking at the floor where the blood had been. There was no stain anymore. But he knew exactly where it had been. Some things disappear, but they do not leave the place empty. The next morning, Miguel woke up earlier than usual. Not out of habit. Out of worry. He went to the back room. The door was half open. Nina was sleeping curled up, light breathing. Miguel stood there. Without going in. Without touching. As if he were afraid of waking. Something that was not guaranteed yet. Lucia appeared behind him. She slept little, she said. But she slept. Miguel nodded. Then he asked, "How long have you been running?" Lucia took time to answer. Not because she didn't know, but because she needed to decide how much of the truth fit there. "Too long," she said. Miguel made coffee for 3, not because he knew how to do it for a child, but because no one there deserved less. Nina sat at the table carefully, waiting for permission. Miguel slid the cup of milk toward her. She looked at Lucia. Lucia nodded. Only then did Nina touch it. During breakfast, almost no one spoke. Miguel observed. Lucia observed. Miguel observing. Nina observed both of them. It was a silence full of questions, but no one rushed answers. After breakfast, Miguel went out to work, but he didn't go far. He stayed close to the house. Watching. Thinking. Noticing things that hadn't mattered before. The road, the gate, The distance between the fence and the house, everything seemed vulnerable. Miguel realized something simple and frightening. He had taken on a responsibility without planning. Without measuring, without knowing if he could handle it. But he also realized something else. He did not want to go back. Miguel realized something that same morning. He was no longer alone in the house, but he was also not accompanied in an easy way. He was responsible. And responsibility weighs more at night. In the middle of the day, Nina appeared at the door. She stayed there. Without coming out. Miguel called, "You can come." She took 2 steps, stopped. "If I break something, will you yell?" Miguel swallowed hard. "No." She thought for a moment. "Everyone yells." Miguel answered. "Then I'll learn not to." She nodded and came in. Miguel understood right then that that decision would not ask for courage. It would ask for daily presence. And presence was something he had not practiced for years. In the afternoon, Miguel sat on the porch. He stayed there. The dog lay at his feet. The sky was clear, and for the first time in a long while, Miguel thought about the future. Not about plans. About possibility. And that scared him more than any concrete threat. When he went to sleep, Miguel noticed something simple. He was no longer alone in the house, but he was also no longer free to pretend nothing mattered. In the middle of the night, a noise on the road. Far away, a car passing too slowly. Miguel got up, looked out the window, saw nothing, but did not go back to sleep. In the morning, Lucia commented, "They look without making noise." Miguel asked, "Who?" She took a moment to answer, "People who don't like to lose." Miguel nodded. He did not ask for names. Not yet. Miguel realized that hiding Nina, there was not a real solution. It was only buying time. And time, when it involves a child, is never neutral. Nina came with a drawing made on old paper. A house, 3 people, a dog. Miguel looked at it. Did not say anything, but he kept the paper. Carefully. In the days that followed, Miguel began to notice something strange. It was not a single event. It was a collection of small things. A car parked too long near the road. A stranger asking too many questions at the store. A comment thrown casually that stayed echoing. Nothing concrete, but enough not to be ignored. Miguel went to town to buy medicine for Nina's foot. Nothing special. But while waiting at the counter, he heard someone say, "They're looking for a woman with a child." The sentence was not said loudly. It was said like a warning. Miguel did not turn around. He did not react. He paid. He left. But he felt his whole body tense up when he returned to the farm. He locked the gate. He did not usually do that during the day. At that moment, it felt necessary. Lucia noticed. "Did someone ask?" She said. Miguel nodded. He did not need to explain. Nina started staying more inside the house, not because she was told to, because of instinct. A child learns quickly when something changes in the air. She stopped running in the yard. She stopped humming quietly. She became smaller. Miguel noticed, and that hurt more than any threat. That night, Miguel sat at the table with Lucia. It was not a conversation. It was a decision being formed. "They're going to find us," he said. Lucia did not disagree. "The farm is big," she replied, "but it's not invisible." Miguel took a deep breath. "Then we don't run," he said. "We prepare." Lucia raised her eyes. "Are you sure?" Miguel took a moment. "No," he said, "but staying is already a choice." That night, Miguel took out the old radio he had not used in years. He turned it on just to hear voices. No news talked about anything important, but hearing people talk made the house feel less isolated. Miguel began to remember his past more strongly. The time when he ran from everything that could hurt. The day of the accident. The exact moment when he realized his wife no longer responded. He had always thought that surviving had been punishment. Now he began to think that maybe it had been unfinished business. The next day, a man appeared on the road. On foot. He stopped near the fence, stood there looking at the house. Miguel watched from the porch. He did not approach. He did not shout. The man stayed for a few minutes and left. But he left something in the air. Nina asked that night, "Do they know I'm here?" Miguel did not lie. "Not yet," he said. "But they might." She thought for a moment. "If they know, will you hide me?" Miguel answered calmly, "No, I'll stand in front." She did not answer, but she moved closer to him and stayed there. Miguel realized that he was no longer dealing only with an external danger. He was dealing with expectation, a child waiting for protection, a woman waiting for a decision, and he waiting from himself something he had never demanded before. That night, Miguel stayed awake until late. Sitting in the kitchen, looking at the floor, thinking about the hole that had been improvised there, thinking about the blood that had appeared there. Thinking that if he had ignored it, everything would have been different. Easier. And infinitely worse. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. The visit happened on an ordinary afternoon. No flashy car, no noise, just a man coming down the road and stopping near the gate. Miguel saw him from far away and knew right then that he was not someone lost. The man did not shout. He did not call out. He stayed there, waiting, like someone who knows that sooner or later someone will show up. Miguel took a deep breath before going. He did not grab a weapon. He did not call Lucia. He went alone. "Good afternoon," the man said. Miguel answered. "Good." Silence. The man looked at the house, then at Miguel. "I'm looking for a woman," he said, "and a child." Miguel did not ask for names. He did not ask where he came from. He just answered, "There's no one like that here." The man smiled slightly. "There always is." Miguel felt his heart beat faster. But he kept his voice low. "You can leave." The man took a step forward. "Do you live alone?" Miguel did not answer. He didn't need to. The man continued. "Sometimes people get involved in things they don't understand." Miguel answered. "Sometimes people understand more than they wish." Silence again. The wind passed through the fence. The dog growled low. The man looked at Miguel for a few long seconds. Then he half smiled. "This doesn't end here." Miguel answered. "I know." The man turned his back and walked away, without hurry, like someone leaving a promise in the air. Miguel stayed there for a while after the man disappeared down the road. He did not feel relief. He felt confirmation. When he went back to the house, Lucia was in the kitchen. He came. She said it was not a question. Miguel nodded. He spoke little. Miguel said, "But enough." Nina was sitting on the floor of the room, drawing. Miguel went in. She looked at him. They came. Right. Miguel did not lie. They did. She stayed quiet for a few seconds, then asked, "Are you still staying?" Miguel kneeled down, got to her height. "I'm staying." She nodded. She did not smile, but her shoulders relaxed. That night, Miguel locked everything, not out of fear, out of decision. He sat at the kitchen table. Lucia sat across from him. Neither of them spoke for a while, until Miguel said, "We can't live hiding." Lucia answered, "Then what do we do?" Miguel took a deep breath. "We take responsibility." He did not explain everything. He didn't need to. Taking responsibility meant stopping pretending. It meant stopping accepting imposed silence. It meant risk. Miguel went to the bedroom that night more tired than ever. But he slept. Not deeply. But he slept. Because, for the first time in many years, he was not running from anything. Before turning off the light, Nina appeared at the door. "Can I sleep here tonight?" Miguel nodded. She lay down on the improvised mattress on the floor. She did not ask for a story. She did not ask for anything. She just stayed. Miguel turned off the light. Silence returned. But it was no longer empty. It was attentive. After the visit at the gate, Miguel began to measure time in a different way. Before, the days simply passed. Now, they counted. Each morning was a kind of test. Each night, a test of resistance. And even so, the routine continued. Because routine is the only thing that keeps fear from taking over everything. Miguel woke up early, as always. But now, before getting up, he stayed lying there for a few extra seconds, listening. Not to specific sounds, listening to the environment. The wind, the dog, the house. If everything seemed normal, he got up. Lucia also changed. Not in the way she spoke, but in the way she moved. She began to put everything away more carefully, to close doors with more attention, to look at the road every time she went out into the yard. She was discreet, but she was alert. Fear recognizes fear. Nina began to help with small things. Nothing heavy. Nothing that looked like obligation. She swept the kitchen slowly, held the door so the dog could pass, organized her own shoes. Small things, but done with too much concentration. Miguel noticed, and that hurt. A child should not need to adapt to danger. That day, Miguel went to town again. He needed to buy feed. Nothing different. But when he entered the store, he noticed the atmosphere change. Conversations got quieter. Looks lingered longer than usual. It was not hostility. It was curiosity mixed with fear. A man Miguel knew only by sight came closer. "They're asking about you," he said, low. Miguel did not answer. "It's not a good question," the man added. Miguel nodded. Paid. Left. On the way back, Miguel thought about the past. about how many times he chose not to get involved, about how many times he turned his face away to avoid pain. He had always thought that was prudence. Now he was beginning to understand that sometimes it is just fear well dressed. When he arrived at the farm, he found Lucia sitting at the table. She was holding a piece of paper. They left this at the gate. She said Miguel took it. It was a simple note. No signature. No direct threat. It only said, "We know." Miguel folded the paper slowly, put it in his pocket. He did not comment in front of Nina, but his body stiffened, because now it was no longer suspicion. It was confirmation. That night, Miguel locked everything early. He sat at the table with Lucia. "We need to talk to someone," he said. Lucia did not ask who. "I know," she answered. Miguel thought about the priest from the region, a man who spoke little, just enough, who knew how to listen, and who did not scare easily. Before sleeping, Nina asked, "Are they going to come back?" Miguel answered the possible truth. "Probably." She thought, "Are you afraid?" Miguel took a deep breath. "I am." She nodded. "I am too." And stayed there. Miguel realized something that night. Courage was not the absence of fear. It was continuing even with it. Miguel did not go to speak with the priest that same day. He needed an entire night to accept that he could no longer solve everything alone. That was the hardest part, not the danger, not the threat, but admitting that he was not enough. The next morning, Miguel woke up before the sun, not out of habit, out of restlessness. He put on his shirt slowly, tied his boots more carefully than usual. Before leaving, he looked toward the back room. Nina was sleeping, her bandaged foot sticking out from under the blanket. Miguel stayed there a few seconds longer, as if he were apologizing for something he had not even done yet. The path to the church was short, but Miguel walked slowly. Each step seemed to carry a weight he had been postponing for years. The priest was sweeping the yard when he saw Miguel. He did not smile. He did not look surprised. He just said, "Come in." Miguel sat on a wooden bench. He stared at the floor. The priest did not rush him. He had learned early that those who come looking for help first need to organize their own courage. "I hid someone," Miguel said. Finally, the sentence came out dry, without context. The priest did not react. "A woman and a child," he added. Silence. "And now there are people looking." Miguel continued, "People who don't ask." The priest set the broom aside, sat in front of him. "You know what that means?" Miguel nodded. "It means that if I speak, there's no going back." The priest answered, "Not speaking is also a choice." Miguel took a deep breath. That sentence was familiar. The priest asked, "Why did you stay?" Miguel took time. It was not a simple question. "Because," he began, stopped. "Because I've already run away too much." The priest said nothing, but he understood. Miguel told part of the story, not all of it. He talked about the blood, about the floor, about the hidden child. When he finished, he stayed quiet. Waiting for judgment. The priest only said, "That girl has already lost too much to lose you as well." Miguel closed his eyes, because that sentence hit exactly where it hurt. The priest explained the path. He did not promise easy protection. He did not promise quick justice. He promised only what was possible. If you report it, they will react. If you don't report it, they will decide. Miguel already knew, but hearing it out loud changes things. When Miguel returned home, he felt heavier, but also more whole. Lucia noticed right away. "You talked to someone," she said. Miguel nodded. "And now?" she asked. Miguel answered. "Now we stop hiding." Nina was sitting on the floor, drawing again. Miguel crouched beside her. "Can I ask you something?" he said. She nodded. "If someone comes looking for you, do you want to stay?" Nina did not answer right away. She thought. "I want to stay where no one hits," she said. Miguel swallowed hard. "Then we'll try that," she nodded, as if it were the most reasonable thing in the world. That night, Miguel wrote, not a report yet, a letter to himself. He wrote about the accident, about the guilt, about the choice to isolate himself. And he ended with a simple sentence. Staying is also acting. Miguel slept little, but he slept. Because now he knew that the next day would not be only waiting. It would be movement. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Asterisk. The report did not happen in a dramatic way. There were no sirens, no running. It was simple. And precisely because of that, it was heavy. Miguel went to town early. He did not take Lucia. He did not take Nina. He thought it was better that they stayed far from that first step. He entered the small building, spoke to who he needed to speak to, and said only what was necessary. He did not exaggerate. He did not omit. He spoke slowly, like someone who knows that every word creates a path with no return. When he left there, the sun was still low, but Miguel felt as if the day had already passed completely. His body was tired. Not from physical effort, from decision. On the way back to the farm, Miguel noticed something different. A car parked near the road. It was not the same one as before, but it was in the same place. Waiting. Miguel did not stop. He kept going, but he noted it mentally. When he arrived, he found Lucia on the porch. She did not ask anything. She just looked at him. Miguel nodded. She understood. "It's done," she said. Miguel answered. "It is." Nina was inside the house. Sitting near the table. Miguel went closer. "Today might be a difficult day," he said. She looked up. "Difficult how?" Miguel thought before answering. "With more people talking louder than they should." She nodded. "Then I'll stay quiet," she said. Miguel felt his chest tighten. "No," he answered. "You stay normal." She thought. Normal is staying quiet. Miguel did not answer. Because he had no ready answer, the first sign came in the middle of the afternoon. A car entered the road, raising dust. Then another. Miguel watched from the porch. He did not run. He did not hide. He stayed there. As he had promised. The cars stopped near the gate. Two men got out. They were not police officers. They were not strangers. They were the same ones. Miguel felt his whole body tense up. But he did not step back. "You talked too much," one of them said. Miguel answered. "I talked enough." The other man smiled. "You think that protects you?" Miguel looked straight. "No, but it protects her. Double quotes silence. The wind passed. The dog stood up. One of the men took a step forward. Miguel took another. He stood exactly in the middle of the entrance. Blocking. Not with strength, with presence. You don't know who you're messing with, the man said. Miguel answered softly, I do. And it was true. He knew he was not dealing only with people. He was dealing with an old system of fear. Lucia appeared at the door. She did not say anything, but she stayed there. Visible. Assuming. Nina stayed behind her. Not hidden. Just protected. One of the men pointed. That's what you're defending, Miguel answered. It's people. The man laughed. People don't cause this much trouble. Miguel felt something rise in his throat. They do, he said. When we decide not to abandon them. The men stayed there for a few more seconds, long enough to make it clear that it was not over. Then they got back in the car. They left, but this time, too fast. Like someone who knows that now there is a record. When the silence returned, Miguel felt his legs weaken. He sat down, took a deep breath. Lucia came closer. They'll be back, she said. Miguel nodded, but not alone now. That night, no one slept well, but no one stayed alone either. Miguel sat in the living room. Lucia on the couch, Nina on the mattress near them, the dog lying in the middle. Miguel realized something that night. Fear was still there. But now it had shape, name, and limits. And that made all the difference. The next day, the farm did not wake up differently. The sun rose the same way. The wind passed through the fences. The animals made noise. But Miguel woke up with the clear feeling that something had changed outside his reach. And it was not something small. Early in the morning, an official car entered the road. Slowly. No siren. Miguel saw it from the porch and felt his stomach sink. Not because of fear of the police, but because of what it meant. Now there was a witness. Two men got out. They spoke little. They wrote a lot. They did not enter the house, but they looked at everything. The road, the yard, the kitchen through the half-open door. Miguel answered what they asked, without embellishment, without drama. Like someone who already understands that exaggeration gets in the way. When they left behind something Miguel had not felt in years: exposure. Now the story was not just his. It was a subject. In town, the comments began. Not direct accusations, but loose phrases. He got involved where he shouldn't have. He brought trouble on himself. He could have stayed quiet. Miguel heard them. He did not answer, but each phrase weighed on him. Dona Alzira appeared in the late afternoon. She brought bread. She did not ask anything. She just said, staying quiet doesn't save anyone. Miguel nodded. And thanked her. Nina noticed that something was different. Are you sad? She asked. Miguel thought before answering. I'm tired, she replied. I get tired too when I'm scared. Miguel smiled slightly. That night, Miguel dreamed about the accident, not as an exact memory, but as a sensation. The noise, the confusion, the silence afterward. He woke up sweating, breathing fast, and realized something important. He had always run from pain thinking it was punishment. Now he understood that it was an invitation he never accepted. In the days that followed, the pressure increased. People passing on the road. Too many questions, long looks, nothing explicit, but constant. Miguel began to feel the weight of being seen. Lucia commented, "Maybe we need to leave." Miguel did not answer right away. He thought a lot. "If we leave," he said finally, "they learn that pressure works." Lucia sighed. "And if we stay," Miguel answered, "they learn that it doesn't always work." Nina heard the conversation. "I can go somewhere else," she said softly. Miguel crouched in front of her. "No," he said. "You are not a problem to be solved." She swallowed hard. Miguel understood then that his past was being charged. Not the accident, but the omission. Years passing without getting involved. Without choosing. Now choosing had a price, and he was paying it. That night, Miguel sat at the kitchen table, looked at the floor. Thought about the blood that had appeared there. Thought about how everything had begun with something small, a stain, a detail, and he understood. With uncomfortable clarity, sometimes what seems small is just the beginning of what we spend our whole life avoiding. Asterisk. After the story began to circulate, Miguel realized something simple. Staying was no longer a silent act. Now, every day there was a position. The farm kept functioning. The animals needed care. Food needed to be made. Routine insisted on existing. But there was something new underneath everything. A constant tension, like a wire stretched too tight, that no one knew when it would snap. Miguel started waking up even earlier, not because he needed to, but because sleeping late now felt irresponsible. He got up, walked through the house, checked doors, not out of paranoia. Out of responsibility. Lucia also changed. She no longer talked about leaving, but her body showed exhaustion. The way she sat, the way she breathed. Taking care of someone always takes a toll on the one who cares. And she had been carrying alone for far too long. Nina started asking difficult questions. "If they get arrested, does it end?" Miguel answered honestly, "Sometimes it ends. Sometimes it changes." She thought, changing is better than staying the same. Miguel agreed in silence. In town, people split. Some supported Miguel. Others avoided him. Not out of cruelty, out of fear. Miguel understood. He had been that way before. One day, Miguel received a direct message. Not written, spoken. A man he had known since he was young stopped near the fence and said, "There are people who don't like those who decide to play hero." Miguel answered, "I'm not playing anything." The man insisted. "Then stop." Miguel did not answer, because some conversations are not meant to convince. They are meant to measure. That night, the dog barked differently. Louder. More insistent. Miguel jumped up, grabbed the flashlight, went out into the yard. Nothing. But the air was heavy when he went back inside. Nina was awake. "Are they coming tonight?" she asked. Miguel crouched down. "I don't know." She nodded. "If they come, I'll stay quiet." Miguel answered, "If they come, You stay with me. She looked at him, and nodded. Miguel felt a huge weight in that nod. Because now it was no longer just about protecting. It was about being an example. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The pressure did not come in the form of a direct threat. It came as accumulation. It came in days that seemed too normal for what was about to happen. Miguel noticed that early in the morning, the sky was clear, the wind was light, the animals were calm, and that, strangely, made him uncomfortable. Because when everything seems to calm, it is usually because something is being decided far away from there. Miguel spent the morning working close to the house. He did not go to the distant pasture. He did not move far away. He wanted to stay close. He wanted to see. He wanted to react quickly, if it became necessary. At the beginning of the afternoon, a car entered the road. This time, it did not stop far away. It came straight in. Slowly. Like someone who is not afraid of being seen. Miguel stayed on the porch. He did not hide. He did not arm himself. He simply stayed. The car stopped near the gate. Two men got out. One of them Miguel recognized. It was the same one from the previous visit. The other was younger, hard eyes, impatient. "We need to talk," the older one said. Miguel answered. "Out here." The man smiled slightly. "As you wish." They stood facing each other. Without touching, without raising their voices. The younger man looked around, evaluating everything. The house, the yard, the distance. Like someone calculating possibilities. "You complicated things," the older man said. Miguel answered. "I stopped making them easy." The man sighed. "It didn't need to go this far," Miguel said quietly. "It did." The younger man stepped forward. "You're not going to win this," Miguel answered, without raising his voice. "I'm not trying to win." Silence. That sentence bothered them more than any threat. Lucia appeared at the door. She did not say anything, but she stayed visible. Nina was behind her, not hidden. Just protected. The older man looked at the child. For a second, something changed on his face. Not compassion. Calculation. Double quotes. "This will end badly," he said. Miguel answered. "It was already bad before." The younger man snorted. "You think the law solves everything?" Miguel answered. "No, but it solves enough so you don't decide alone." The wind blew stronger. The dog barked once, short, like a warning. The older man took a step back. "You chose a hard path," Miguel answered. "I know. Don't turn back later." Miguel nodded. "I won't." They got back into the car. They left. Without promising anything. Without making explicit threats. And that was the heaviest part. Miguel stood there for a few seconds after the car disappeared. He felt his legs weaken. He breathed deeply. Lucia came closer. "They won't stop easily," she said. Miguel answered. "Neither will I that night." Miguel did not try to pretend normality. He sat with Nina. "If at any moment you get scared," he began. She interrupted. "I already am." Miguel nodded. "So if you get more scared, call me." She answered. "Okay," and rested her head on his arm. Miguel realized something in that simple gesture. He was no longer only protecting. He was being a harbor, and a harbor does not choose when the storm arrives. Asterisk asterisk after that visit. The tiredness arrived for real. Not all at once. It arrived in layers. Miguel began to wake up already tired. No matter how much he had slept. His body got up, but his mind stayed behind. He began to make more mistakes. He forgot where he put things, lost track of what he was doing. Nothing serious, but constant, and constancy tires more than impact. Lucia noticed before he did. "You need to rest," she said one night. Miguel answered. Later, Lucia did not insist, but her look stayed there. Taking care of someone who protects is watching the one who begins to break. Nina began to have nightmares. Nothing she explained in detail. She woke up scared. Call softly. Miguel went, sat on the floor, waited. She did not ask for a hug, only for presence. One of those nights, Miguel realized something that scared him more than any external threat. He was afraid of failing, not of dying, not of losing the farm. Of failing her. That night, Miguel went out to the porch. He sat. The sky was heavy. It was not raining, but it promised to. Miguel thought about everything that could go wrong. He thought about giving up. He thought, for the first time, about leaving. The idea stayed there. Not as a plan. As temptation. Leaving would be easier. It would take the problem away. But it would not solve it. It would only pass it on. Miguel felt something tighten in his chest. It was not physical pain. It was old guilt mixing with new fear. He thought about his wife, about the day of the accident. About the wrong decision, about the silent escape afterward. He realized something hard that night. He had already left once, and he knew exactly what that caused. Miguel went back inside. Sat at the kitchen table, the same place where everything began, the same floor where the blood appeared. The same silence. He rested his head in his hands, took a deep breath. And, for the first time in many years, he cried. Not loudly. Not out of control. He cried like someone who has held too much for far too long. Lucia appeared. She did not ask anything. She sat beside him. She stayed. This kind of company does not need words. Miguel spoke softly. "I'm afraid I won't hold up," Lucia answered. Holding up is not being strong all the time. It's not leaving when you feel like it. Miguel nodded. Because he knew it was true. That night, Miguel slept little, but when he slept, he dreamed of something different. Not of the accident. He dreamed of the kitchen. Clean. With light. With people sitting at the table. When he woke up, the day was cloudy, but the air felt lighter. Miguel knew there was still more ahead, but he also knew that there had been the lowest point, and that from there on, there were only two paths. Asterisk asterisk. The ending did not come the next day. It came after a wait too long to be comfortable and too short to become forgetting. Miguel no longer counted the days. He counted the moments when nothing happened. Because now, when nothing happened, it meant that something was being decided somewhere else. On an ordinary morning, The phone rang. Miguel did not like phones. Not because of trauma, but because phones almost never bring good news to people who live isolated. He answered. He listened. He did not speak much. He just said yes. A few times. When he hung up, he stayed standing there, holding the phone as if it could still say something else. Lucia noticed right away. Is it today? She asked. Miguel nodded. Are they coming to take her? She asked. Miguel took a deep breath. They're coming to answer. It was not the police. Who arrived first? It was silence. A different silence. More open. As if the air had space again. Later that afternoon, the official car appeared on the road. This time, it stopped. People got out that Miguel did not know, but they had the look of people who came to close, not provoke. Miguel answered questions, confirmed things, repeated what he had already said before. He did not change his version. He did not need to. When you tell the truth from the beginning, it does not need to be adjusted later. Nina stayed inside the house, not hidden, just protected from too much information. A child does not need to watch her own story being decided. When everything ended, one of the men said, "It will take time. But now it no longer depends only on you." Miguel nodded. He did not feel immediate relief. He felt tiredness. A clean tiredness. That night, the house became quiet in a new way. It was no longer tension. It was emptiness, like after a storm that did not destroy everything, but left marks. Nina came out of the room, sat on the living room floor. Is it over? She asked. Miguel answered with the possible truth. It changed. She thought for a moment. Is changing good? Miguel answered. Not always, but it's better than pretending. She nodded. And leaned against him. In the days that followed, life did not become perfect. Miguel remained tired. Lucia remained watchful. Nina remained too alert for her age. But something fundamental had changed. No one was hidden anymore. The farm became just a farm again. Not a trench, not a hiding place, a home. One night, Miguel sat in the kitchen, looked at the floor, exactly where the blood had appeared. He thought about how everything started there. With something small, something easy to ignore. He realized, with late clarity, that the blood had not been the shock. The shock was realizing that he still cared, and that caring had a cost. Nina came with a new drawing. The same house, the same 3 people. But now, with the door open, Miguel looked. Did not say anything. He kept it. That night, Miguel slept. For real. Without watching, without waiting. He slept like someone who, for the first time in many years, was not owing anything to himself. Asterisk, 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 asterisk.